Hey guys, it's Ashley. Sorry for the lighting, but I am not using my circle light because the dogs have let every single moth in through the doggy door, and it is moth city in here. So, yeah, I wanted to do a quick update because today was an unexpected hospital day, unplanned. So we're going to talk about it. So it started off with a telehealth update with the infectious disease doctor that manages my, well, I first met him in the hospital when they called him in to consult on my sepsis. And he also consulted on my husband's sepsis part of his treatment. Obviously, my case, he had better results on. So he, I was talking to them via telehealth, and they were concerned about the kidney pain I was having. They were concerned about the fact that I was having joint pain in my shoulders, knees, and ankles, and swelling in my knees and ankles. So, as you know from my previous videos, my least favorite words in the world, they uttered ER visit. They wanted CAT scans, x-rays done, instant lab work, to make sure the sepsis wasn't back, and there was pain from my emergency port surgery, which you can see it's healed much better, which, by the way, I discovered the reason why I was awake for the surgery is because for the surgery where they put the port in, they did the whatever. You guys who are medical professionals know what I'm talking about, and that's what put me out. But they did the fentanyl and Versed for the emergency removal, and that did not put me out. So, that's why I was awake for the emergency removal and all of the clean out and everything. That was my personal hell. But, so, long story short, after 8+ hours in the ER of my CT, they decided to do a CT with contrast and chance possible kidney damage despite what was going on. After we did some lab results and weighed the risks. So after everything, they decided my kidneys are actually doing okay. It's basically post sepsis syndrome, which is their long-winded way of saying it's just going to take me longer to heal. My body's just sore. My kidneys are just sore from everything that I went through. Sorry, I'm not using my stand tonight, so everything's all shaky. Yeah, my body's just like inflamed and stuff that's sore. They wanted to give me some stuff through my IV that's kind of like against my advanced directives, so they had to like rethink that, and because they just got sick of with everything that we went through with John, with things, especially in this particular hospital, not being respected and stuff. So I updated my advanced directives and my DNR and stuff like that. So the doctor was not happy about having to respect that, but I did not back down. Just to give you an example of this hospital not paying attention, this is the same hospital that John passed away from, and it's like marked in my file. So they come in and they forgot to update my emergency contact from John and my dad to just my dad. So they come in and they're like, oh, did you want us to contact John and give him updates? Like, seriously? Yeah, you try getting a hold of my deceased husband and give him updates. Okay. You let me know how that goes. So I said some unkind things, and the girl left the room quickly. Like, come on, at least read the chart. Like, if you're going to print out the paperwork, at least read the note that's on the paperwork that you're reading from. I mean, I could look down and see the note next to it that even said, update this contact is deceased. Like, at least glance at the paperwork you're holding. You know, that might be smart. So that's why I worked with my doctor, because I actually like my doctor, to update everything to make sure, you know, I've just had too many times where they ignored like an allergy and things like that. And so luckily, with getting my new, hi buddy, sorry, Jack is trying to get my attention. He's got a new bouncy ball he wants to play with. But luckily with getting my new health insurance in place, which I should have the new card for everything, I can get everything transferred over to like the Loveless health system and things like that. And I'll see about maybe which specialists and things I want to keep and which ones I may just transfer over, because not terribly sure about staying in this hospital system, especially because I really don't want every time there's an emergency, and we know that I get put in the hospital at least once a month, so really don't want to have to be in the hospital that my husband died in once a month. It's really not, you know, good for the mental health side of it. So we shall see. Those are all the little things that I need to think about and update. But for this time, because the original sepsis visit had been in this hospital, they really felt strongly that for at least this time I needed to go back so that they could compare previous lab values to current lab values. And my previous CT scan, because also too with, you know, with it being kidney pain that I was having, they wanted to really compare, you know, with your adrenal glands sitting on top of your kidney, if, you know, they wanted to be able to assess all my previous CTs to see if it was tumor growth on my left adrenal gland versus if it was, you know, the sepsis. So even though it's the tumor on my left adrenal gland, when you have a tumor on one of your adrenal glands, it can cause bilateral issues and bilateral pain. And so that was something that they were concerned about and wanted to check on and rule out. So just to keep an eye on it, I'll probably have to go see my endocrinologist too and go through the workup on that as well. But at least I have my, I always joke and say that every time we have to do the contrast CT, at least I have it done for the year. Even though, let's see, okay, it's May, and they were going through, and I'm supposed to have an annual each year. Okay, so it's May, right? I've already had 8 of them this year. That's so ridiculous, y'all. That's so ridiculous. So it's funny because every time I go in for the CT, they're like, this is a CT machine. Have you ever had a CT before? And I'm like, seriously? Like, you don't recognize me from the last, like, 14 million times. And then by the time I'm done, the radiologist, like, himself comes out and is like, we need to talk about how many tests have been ordered for you and your exposure limits and between your MRIs and your CTs and your x-rays. And I'm like, I know, but they order them because they say I have to have them and the benefits outweigh. And so, oh, and you can see, do y'all see the blue tinge? Apparently my oxygen levels are a little low, so I'm supposed to be going every so often to get in deep breaths. Yeah, so, and everybody who's going into the ER, they were doing the COVID tests. And so they were like they had somebody there with a computer like pulling up your chart to punch it in. And then they were like, oh, Ashley Gallegos, they're like, oh yeah, you already just had a COVID test. You could go straight in. I was like, yeah, I know. Thanks. They're like, you had a more recent COVID negative than we have. I was like, cool. So that's the latest and greatest. Hopefully that is a good update for a while. So, I'm ready for all to be quiet on this Western Front for a bit. Just to give me a break for a bit. So, I hope everybody else is doing well and staying safe. Bye, guys.